There she was, his housekeeper of 2 years, sitting in his front yard in a freezing Thanksgiving storm, eating garbage, sobbing so hard her whole body shook. He slammed on the brakes, ran through the rain, got close enough to see her hands trembling, close enough to see the terror in her eyes when she saw him. "Please don't fire me," she begged. "Please. I need this job. My daughter, she's..." That's when he saw it. The container she was holding. His leftovers from last week's dinner party. Food he was going to throw away. She'd been stealing it for months. "Why?" he asked. She looked down at the food, tears mixing with rain. "Tomorrow's Thanksgiving and I can't afford a turkey. Can't afford anything. Because my 7-year-old daughter has leukemia and I have to choose between feeding her or medicating her." He went completely still. This woman had been cleaning his mansion for 2 years. He didn't even know her daughter existed. Didn't know she worked 3 jobs. Didn't know she rode trains 5 hours a day. Didn't know she was drowning. And in that moment, standing in the rain on Thanksgiving Eve, Marcus Brennan, billionaire, realized something that would change his life forever. He had everything, and he had nothing. What happened next changed everything. Let me back up. Because what happened 2 months before Thanksgiving, what he discovered on the Wednesday before the holiday, will change the way you see every single person you pass on the street. Here's a question for you. If you came home for Thanksgiving and found someone you've known for years sitting alone in a thunderstorm, soaking wet, crying while eating your leftover food, would you stop? Would you ask what's wrong? Or would you keep driving and pretend you never saw it? Because I'm about to tell you about a man who stopped. And that one decision on Thanksgiving Eve shattered everything he thought he knew about success, about wealth, about what it means to actually live. Stay with me because by the end you'll understand why the people we overlook might be the ones sent to save us. 2 months before Thanksgiving, Marcus Brennan woke up alone. Same as he had for 4 years straight. The divorce didn't just take his wife. It took the sound of laughter, reasons to come home, the life from a house that felt more like a museum than a home. 9 bedrooms, 4 cars, a pool nobody swam in. At 47 years old, sitting in his mansion overlooking the Hudson River, Marcus had everything. And he had absolutely nothing. The only voice he heard most days belonged to Carmen. His housekeeper. Showed up every weekday at 6:45 a.m. without fail. Cleaned, organized, left by 3. He barely knew her. Didn't know where she lived, if she had family, anything. She was just there, part of the routine, invisible. Until one September Thursday when their eyes met in the hallway. She was dusting old wedding photos he should have taken down years ago. She glanced up. Their eyes locked for maybe 3 seconds. In those 3 seconds, Marcus saw something that made his chest tighten. Pain. Deep, bone-tired exhaustion that didn't belong on someone barely 30. She looked away fast, but that moment stuck with him. 2 weeks later, he hosted a charity gala. 70 wealthy guests, food that cost more than most people's rent. Carmen worked that night, hired for extra hours. Marcus watched how the guests treated her. Like furniture, snapping fingers for refills, never making eye contact, never saying thank you. Around midnight, after everyone left, Marcus was in his study on a call with Singapore. And that's when he saw her through the window, standing in his kitchen, staring at mountains of leftover food about to be thrown away. She stood there for a long moment, then checked if anyone was watching. Marcus should have looked away. He didn't. She reached for a container, moved fast, scooped food inside, sealed it, put it in her bag. And her hands were shaking so badly she almost dropped it. Something twisted in Marcus's gut. Something that felt like shame. She disappeared out the back door and he just sat there in the dark, not hearing a word the investors were saying. One question kept looping in his mind. Why would someone's hands shake over food going in the trash? He didn't know the answer yet, but he was about to find out. And it would destroy him. Fast forward to the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. Marcus had spent the morning in Manhattan. Business meetings that meant nothing to him anymore. His ex-wife called, invited him to her family's Thanksgiving dinner so you're not alone. He declined. told her he was fine. He wasn't fine. The meeting ended early around 2:30. Dark clouds rolling in. He got in his car, started driving home through Westchester, thinking about spending another holiday alone in that empty house. Then the sky exploded. Rain came down like a wall, violent, sudden, hammering his windshield so hard he could barely see. November storm, cold and merciless. He slowed down, kept driving. When he turned through his gate, he was thinking about dry clothes. Maybe ordering Chinese food for Thanksgiving tomorrow, because who cares? Then he saw her. His foot slammed the brake so hard the car lurched. Carmen, on his lawn under the oak tree, sitting in the mud, soaking wet in the freezing rain, hunched over something. He didn't think, just ran. Rain hit him like ice water. When he got close, he saw what she was holding. A foam container. And she was crying. Not quiet tears. Deep, breaking sobs that shook her whole body. She didn't see him. Just sat there in the storm 2 days before Thanksgiving, eating, crying, like the world had finally crushed her. Carmen. Her head snapped up, eyes wide, terrified. The look on her face, pure horror. Mr. Brennan, I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have. Please don't fire me. Please, I need. You're not fired. He crouched in the mud, both of them getting drenched in the freezing November rain. Just tell me what's happening. Why are you out here the day before Thanksgiving? And something in his voice made her walls crumble. My daughter. She whispered. Her name is Sophia. She's 7 years old. Marcus went completely still. She has leukemia. The words hit him like a fist. The treatments, insurance won't cover most of it. I'm drowning in bills. I work here. I work at a diner 4 nights a week. I clean offices on weekends. And it's never enough. Tears mixed with rain on her face. I take the train from the Bronx every morning. 2.5 hours each way. I'm so tired I can barely stand. She looked down at the food in her hands. Tomorrow's Thanksgiving and I can't afford a turkey. Can't afford anything. So I've been taking your leftovers for weeks, because if I don't, there's no money for her medication. I hide because I'm ashamed. Marcus felt his heart shatter. It makes you a mother fighting for her child, he said quietly. The strongest person I've ever met. She looked at him like she didn't believe what she was hearing. They sat there in the freezing rain, the day before Thanksgiving. Both drenched, both breathing hard. All his money, his empty mansion, his lonely holiday. What did any of it matter when this woman couldn't even afford Thanksgiving dinner because she was choosing between food and her daughter's life? Let me take you home, Marcus said. The drive to the Bronx changed everything. Watching nice houses become small houses, become apartment buildings. Watching Thanksgiving decorations disappear from windows. Trees vanishing. Space vanishing. When she pointed to her building, faded brick with bars on the windows, Marcus felt something crack in his chest. This was where she went after making his world perfect. This was where she'd spend Thanksgiving tomorrow. That night, he couldn't sleep. Just kept seeing her face. Kept hearing her voice. Tomorrow's Thanksgiving and I can't afford a turkey. Thanksgiving morning came. Marcus woke up at 5 a.m. Made a decision. He got dressed, got in his car, drove to the nearest grocery store that was open. Bought everything. Turkey, stuffing, cranberry sauce, sweet potatoes, pumpkin pie. Spent $400 on groceries. Drove to the Bronx. He knocked on Carmen's door at 7 a.m. She answered in pajamas, eyes swollen from crying. Saw him standing there with bags of groceries and her face just crumpled. Mr. Brennan, what are you? Happy Thanksgiving, he said simply. May I come in? She stepped aside, speechless. The apartment was tiny. 1 bedroom, maybe 600 square feet. But it was spotless. Clean. Loved. An elderly woman sat in a worn armchair, Carmen's mother. And on the couch, wrapped in blankets, was a little girl. Sophia. Thin, pale, wearing a knit hat. No hair underneath. But when she saw the groceries, her eyes went wide. Mama, Is that a turkey? Carmen couldn't speak. Just nodded, tears streaming. I thought you said we couldn't. Mr. Brennan brought it, baby. Sophia looked at Marcus, studied him with eyes too wise for 7. Then she smiled. Missing front tooth. Are you going to have Thanksgiving with us? Marcus looked at Carmen, at her mother, at this tiny apartment that somehow felt warmer than his mansion ever had. If you'll have me, he said, I'd be honored. Carmen pressed her hand to her mouth, nodding. They spent Thanksgiving Day in that small apartment. Carmen and her mother cooked. Marcus helped, badly, making them laugh when he couldn't figure out how to mash potatoes properly. Sophia sat on the couch, too weak to do much, but talking non-stop about butterflies. Did you know monarch butterflies migrate 3,000 miles? She said. I didn't, Marcus said, sitting beside her. Yeah, and they only live a few weeks, but they make the journey anyway. Isn't that brave? Very brave, Marcus said quietly, looking at this 7-year-old fighting cancer, calling butterflies brave. They ate at a small table that barely fit 4 people. Said Grace. Carmen's mother thanked God for bringing this kind man into their lives. Sophia wanted to go around and say what everyone was thankful for. I'm thankful Mama doesn't have to work tomorrow, Sophia said. Carmen's mother said she was thankful Sophia was still fighting. Carmen looked at Marcus, tears in her eyes. I'm thankful for people who stop when they could keep driving. Then it was Marcus's turn. He looked at these 3 women crowded around this tiny table in this small apartment, and he felt something he hadn't felt in 4 years. Like he was home. I'm thankful, he said, voice thick, that I found you in the rain, because you saved my life. Carmen reached over, squeezed his hand. After dinner, Sophia fell asleep on the couch. Carmen walked Marcus to the door. I don't know how to thank you, she whispered. You already have. This was the best Thanksgiving I've had in years. Mr. Brennan. Marcus, please. Marcus. She smiled. I need to tell you something. Sophia's treatment, it's not working. Doctors want to try something experimental, but it costs. How much? 60,000. Insurance won't cover it. I've been trying to save, but I'll pay for it. She stepped back. No, I couldn't. Yes, you could. And you will. Because that little girl in there deserves every chance. I could never pay you back. I'm not asking you to. I'm asking you to let me help. Please. Carmen stared at him, tears falling. Why? Why would you do this? Marcus thought about his empty mansion, his lonely Thanksgivings, his meaningless success. Because this, he gestured to the small apartment. This is what wealth actually looks like. And you've been rich this whole time while I've had nothing. She covered her face, shoulders shaking. Let me help, Marcus said gently. Let me do this one thing that actually matters. She looked up at him, and the last wall fell. Okay, she whispered. Monday after Thanksgiving, Marcus made the calls. Paid the 60,000. Authorized treatment. Sophia started the experimental protocol that Wednesday. But here's what you need to know before we continue. Because what happened over the next 2 months would change everything. And I'm about to tell you something that's going to hit you hard. Hit that subscribe button right now, because what comes next will absolutely wreck you in the best way possible. The treatment was brutal. Marcus visited the hospital constantly, brought Sophia books about butterflies, sat with Carmen during the worst days, watched her be strong for Sophia, then fall apart in hallways after. But there were good days too. Days Sophia drew pictures. Days she felt strong enough to teach Marcus about metamorphosis. Caterpillars completely dissolve inside their cocoons, she said once. They turn into goo. Then they rebuild themselves into something beautiful. Marcus looked at this 7-year-old who'd been dissolved by cancer, rebuilding herself into something stronger. Just like you, he said. She smiled. Somewhere in those 2 months between Thanksgiving and now, something shifted between Marcus and Carmen. Started calling each other by first names. Small moments accumulated. Hands brushing. Eyes meeting. Quiet conversations. Other families assumed Marcus was Sophia's father. Neither of them corrected it. Then came the call at 2:47 a.m. on the second Thanksgiving. Sophia had crashed. Fever, seizures, rushed to ICU. Marcus broke every speed limit getting there. Found Carmen in the hallway, pacing, terrified. What happened? They don't know. Her counts dropped suddenly. They're running tests, but the doctor said her voice broke. He said it might be back. After everything. After 2 months of brutal treatment. After hope. When will we know? 2 hours. Those were the longest 2 hours of Marcus's life. They sat in the waiting room, holding hands, both praying. Thanksgiving morning, and they were back in hell. Finally, the doctor came out. Marcus and Carmen stood, held their breath. The doctor smiled. False alarm. Counts dropped because her body's exhausted from treatment, but the cancer's gone. Sophia's in remission. Carmen's legs gave out. Marcus caught her. They held each other in that hallway and cried. Thanksgiving morning, and they just received the greatest gift of their lives. That afternoon, they brought Sophia home. Carmen's mother had cooked a small turkey. They ate together, the 4 of them, cramped around that tiny table again. Sophia wanted to say what they were thankful for. I'm thankful I get to grow up, she said simply. Carmen's mother said she was thankful for answered prayers. Carmen looked at Marcus. I'm thankful for the man who stopped in the rain last year and changed our lives. Marcus looked at these 3 women who'd become his family. I'm thankful, he said, that I finally understand what it means to be wealthy. And it has nothing to do with money. 6 months later, they got married. Small ceremony. Sophia was the flower girl, butterflies in her curly hair that had grown back thick and wild. Marcus started the Sophia Foundation. Carmen ran it. They helped hundreds of families facing pediatric cancer. Turned his empty mansion into a home. Sophia's drawings on every wall. Carmen's mother got the bedroom with the garden view. And every Thanksgiving, they drive to that spot under the oak tree where Marcus found Carmen in the rain. They stand there for a moment, remembering the day everything changed. The day he stopped. The day he learned that real wealth isn't what you own. It's who you love, who you fight for, who you come home to. Marcus Brennan spent 47 years building a fortune. And it took one woman eating leftovers in the rain on Thanksgiving Eve to show him what being rich actually meant. Not what you hold in your hands, but who you hold in your heart. Now let me ask you something. This Thanksgiving, this holiday season, have you walked past someone in pain without stopping? Have you been too busy, too focused on your own celebration, to notice someone drowning right in front of you? This story is for you. For everyone who's felt invisible during the holidays. For everyone who's forgotten what really matters. Sometimes all it takes is stopping long enough to ask, what's wrong? So tell me, where are you watching from right now? What are you thankful for this year? And who in your life needs to know they're not invisible? Drop it in the comments, because this story doesn't end here. If this touched your heart, hit that like button right now. And if you want more powerful, life-changing true stories that restore your faith in humanity, subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a video. Remember, sometimes the best gift you can give someone isn't wrapped in paper. It's wrapped in presence. In showing up. In stopping when you could keep driving. You never know whose life you might change. Or who might change yours. Thank you for watching. See you in the next story.